Hey guys, today we're going to discuss emotional eating. So this is a big topic and often a big form of issues with people when it comes to sticking with their calorie goals and their nutritional intake goals. So emotional eating is a big factor because oftentimes we do have a lot of emotional attachments to food, whether it's from celebrations, being rewarded with lollies as a kid, with using food as a comfort when you're upset or sad. But oftentimes the biggest problem comes down when we start wanting to change our bodies and we want to start dieting or changing our food. And we start to get some pretty funky ideas around food. So this is one of the biggest industries, is the diet industry, and it has a lot of weird dogmas around food that cause us to create all these strange beliefs as to what food is, what we can and can't eat, how much we should be eating. And this creates a lot of confusion and a bit of a diet mentality around food. Seeing it as good or bad, seeing it as going to make us fat or is going to make us skinny. We want to try and get rid of that and instead have an understanding of food, understand nutritional science and how much we can actually eat. With that knowledge, then you can actually get rid of all those silly nutrition dogmas that are out in the world and help to heal your relationship with food. Now, when it comes to emotional eating, this is often comfort eating, but there's a lot of other protocols that I'll chat through to see if any of them apply to you and how you can help improve them. Now, before I say any of this, if you have a serious eating disorder, please go see someone, go see a doctor or someone who's a psychologist, because if it is a mental disorder, it's a bit different to what I'm going to chat about today. This is more about the physiological and psychological connections with food. If it's actually a dead set mental issue, please go see someone. Just put that as a disclaimer. Now, number one thing that happens when you start thinking about food, wanting to change your body, is dieting or eating less food. So coming in with this diet mentality also comes in with this restriction. Now, oftentimes this comes from uneducation. Like, you'll often just eat next to nothing, thinking that's going to help you lose fat and look better. Usually people often eat silly foods like cabbage diets or, keto, paleo, this or that. There's some principle that they've looked at and thought that this is the holy grail and I must restrict my food to this, whether that's in amount or in the actual foods they eat. But then what this does is it leads to a good or bad mentality towards food. It also leads to thinking that you can't eat a certain amount or else you get fat, which actually comes down to the rest of these other ones about binge eating as well. You can only restrict yourself for a certain amount of time before your body is either really hungry and starts to get psychologically hungry, so it will mess you up, or you start to physiologically downregulate your metabolism. This is not the thing that you want to do. You want your metabolism to be ticking along and burning calories every day so that you can actually achieve more, you can walk around more, you can train better, you can train harder, and you can build more muscle. So you want to try and get out of that restriction. But hopefully you understand what that one is. Now, ostracizing food is another one that happens. So I mentioned that if oftentimes you're looking at restriction, you're often looking at cutting out foods altogether. And sometimes they're whole food groups like carbs. Sometimes there's certain foods like, it's good if it's processed foods, but processed foods, sometimes it's things like cheese, dairy, sometimes it's fats, sometimes it's a lot of things. People can cut out all sorts of stuff thinking that that's the be all end all. But if we look at food, all foods are okay on the spectrum of things to eat. They're all made out of fats, carbs, proteins. There's just a spectrum of quality and quantity, and like I talked about in our quality and quantity article, so have a little look at that if you're a bit confused about that. But ostracizing foods shouldn't come into your day as being the primary reason why you eat. You just want to choose better sources of foods and higher qualities of foods rather than higher to fit in your quantities, rather than lower quality foods, because that's what's going to make you feel better. It's going to help with your nutritional profile. It's going to help with your energy and of course your training. So you want to make sure that you're not restricting or ostracizing food just because you've read about it somewhere, but because you're choosing higher quality foods. And even every now and then you can have a treat, it's fine, it still fits into your day. Now, the only kind of exception is if you have allergies or food intolerances. Obviously avoid those foods because if they really upset your gut or cause inflammatory responses in your body, you want to try and avoid them. Cool. Now, next one is a very common pattern. So when you start restricting, a lot of people start to undereat and then binge on the weekends. So not only is that detrimental to your overall calorie goals for the weekend, because often you can severely undereat throughout the week and then really overeat on the weekend, so it's actually putting you back into a surplus. It also upsets gut health, it upsets your mental state. You can often get really, really full, and those feelings of guilt can start to eat away at you. Plus, that feeling of being uncontrolled and eating a shit ton of food is not healthy at all. You don't want to be eating so much that you're so full that you feel sick, or eating lots and lots and lots of high-calorie sweet foods at a time. So this is one very dangerous cycle that leads to a lot of emotional eating disorders and your body wanting to eat a lot of food. Plus, it also makes you feel that next week you should go and undereat again, which is obviously not what we want. Instead, you want to try and eat a regular amount per day, so you're satisfying all your nutritional and calorie needs, so that when you get to the weekend, if you want to have a treat here or there, you can, but it's not a whole day of eating shit food or a massive meal where you're actually overeating. Plus, I find people with bodybuilding things and go on cheat days and stuff, like they really eat clean all week and then have cheat days. This really reinforces this. So try to stay away from that. Instead, think of that 80-20 rule. Choose 80% whole, healthy foods, and 20% of stuff that you want to snack on or treats here or there. And if you want to still eat really good quality food that's going to support you but still satisfy cravings, then add those in. You can make healthier options of almost anything you can think of that help to reduce your palate from always being used to those high sugar, high fat foods to down to some natural, more nutritionally complete foods that are better for you. Binge eating on its own is also another thing, like just eating normally and then going through those big binges. Similar deal. We want to try and improve that relationship with food. Oftentimes these are very emotional related, whether you're feeling emotionally stressed or overwhelmed, or you've had a big emotional event happen in your life. A lot of people do tend to go to binge eating, or the other way around, restricting and overeating. So that means that one's probably more of a time to look into your mental state and choose something to do instead of eating a shit ton of food or breaking that cycle at the start. So making sure that you're nutritionally complete, so you have been eating all your food, macros, calories and everything, but then choosing better options to release your stress. So things like meditation, walking, clearing your head, exercise, anything else to start breaking that cycle is important to break the habit of binge eating, especially when it comes to a certain time of week or something happens to you emotionally. You want to try and break that bit by bit. Over time, with high quality information and habits and good quality nutrition, your body should feel better and you shouldn't want to do that as much. Overeating in general is another thing. So there's quite a few reasons why people could do this. A, they just don't know how much they're eating. It's the most obvious one. So that comes down to tracking and understanding. But oftentimes people can have nutritional deficiencies, or they can have a bit of hormonal dysregulation like insulin, or if they've got high cortisol, that their body just wants to keep eating. They're that uncontrollable feeling of eating. So for those things, I recommend making sure that you are nutritionally covered, so you're taking supplements or making sure that your body is eating at regular times per day, and trying to watch out for anything that could be happening hormonally, just getting your hormones checked. But otherwise, if it is just overeating and you're just eating too much, that's when you need to change your habits, have a look at your lifestyle, and fit in within your daily calorie goals. And undereating is on the opposite side of that. Now, other than a severe disorder, which we want to avoid, try and speak to a professional about that. Usually undereating chronically can lead to a slow metabolism, which is again the opposite of what we want. We want to have a revving high, fast metabolism from eating a lot, training a lot, moving a lot. If your metabolism goes down, then you have to eat less to maintain that, which is a bit of a self-perpetuating cycle, which is negative. You want to try and make sure that you're getting out of that by slowly increasing your calories back up over time to the number that you want to be eating, so your maintenance calories. When that's established, then you can start going back into a deficit to make sure that your body is healthy and it's healing from that state. Now, building a healthy mindset around food. So I've had a bit of discussion about some ways that people can eat and cause emotional attachments around food. But the biggest way to help this is to start with preparation and being aware of it in advance. So rather than doing it after the state or during it, try and make sure you're ready before. So the biggest thing here is understanding nutrition. So understanding your nutrition principles, everything we're talking about, calories, macronutrients, high quality foods, understanding that foods aren't good or bad. All these understandings about nutritional science and good nutrition principles need to be in your head, and you need to understand them. If you're constantly thinking about dogmas or things that you've read online that probably have no nutritional backing, then you're going to get into a bit of a rut. Also eating enough food, so the Goldilocks principle again, eating enough calories and macros, not too much, not too little, and having a good balance. Accepting everything in moderation, so the 80-20% rule, 80% high quality, nutritionally full foods, and 20% play foods, so you can either have higher calorie, sweeter foods or treats or things out on the weekend. It's totally fine as long as it fits in your week. Quenching cravings with healthier options. So while there's 20%, if you're still craving things and you're over that 20%, choose healthier options, so things that are higher quality to quench that craving. Plus that helps to reduce your palate so that you're not so used to having high sweet foods or very flavorful foods that people in the food industries try and make really palatable. Instead you're eating normal foods and they taste delicious. So choosing healthier options to quench your cravings can be a good way to do that. Also planning ahead, make sure you're organised meal prep, what you're going to eat. Make sure that you're, again, having enough food, and also it's aware so you avoid that convenience factor where people tend to go to their old habits or emotional habits if they do not have food on hand and they are going towards like convenience stores or shops or any of their old habits. Also pay attention to your gut health. So healthy gut means that you're more likely to have healthier eating principles. Make sure that you're watching your digestion, eating enough fibre, drinking lots of water. If you're having serious issues with your gut, you can look into Gut Right by ATP Science. It's a great protocol to help improve your gut health. But also you can look with a professional as well to help improve your gut. Love and enjoy food. Like, you shouldn't feel guilty for eating. You should eat every day to support your body. So make sure that you are not feeling guilty for eating it, and choose the foods that you choose to put in your day as good foods that you love and you actually enjoy eating. Eat foods that make you feel good. So if you do tend to get upset stomach from certain foods, or you get a bit negative from eating certain foods, if you notice like higher sugar or anything like that, try and eat good quality foods that make you feel good. If you eat well and it makes you feel great, you're more likely to stay with those protocols. And you can take subs to avoid nutritional deficiencies like multivitamins, multi-food, any of those sort of things can really help to up your vitamins and minerals, because then you feel less cravey for foods. If your body is nutritionally covered, it's going to be a lot happier and less likely to emotionally eat. Hopefully that helps, guys. The overall idea of this is that a lot of emotional eating actually comes from, first of all, covering your physiological basis, so make sure your body is healthy and you're supporting your nutritional health, then your mental basis, so making sure you're not emotionally sabotaging yourself with food, but then also making sure that you are nourishing yourself at the end of the day, not punishing yourself with food. Hopefully it helps, guys.